All right, Mike, how are you doing? It's a pleasure to interview you. And
I'm doing well, brother.
so, everybody, just so you know, Mike is an attorney. He graduated from Pace University. Now he works at the Supreme Court in the Bronx, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, born
in
and
the
raised.
Yes, awesome. And so he's doing that, but he's also building out his mixology business. Now, let's start there. Let's start there. So, I find that really interesting. So, I come from a Ghanaian household, and my mom kills me because I'm also an attorney, kills me because I'm not pursuing law. So, I don't know that background going. How did you decide to, like, when did you become passionate about that? And how do your parents feel about that? Or your family feel?
Okay. Well, my mother's Jamaican, so I definitely, I guess, understand to a degree why your mom would feel that way about pursuing law. But I want to say, well, the mixology, bartending, the hospitality really is the vision. I want to say became kind of like a passion maybe about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I started toying around with the idea of it kind of started as what could I do part time
I see.
to supplement income from our full time job, and then it really became, well, I think I could actually turn this into a business, or like something that I could own for myself. My family, coming from a West Indian background, always food, parties, rum punches, drinks. Like, I think there could be something in there for me.
Mm-hmm.
How do they feel about it? It's interesting. My dad doesn't drink. So the past couple times I've come over, I've just made like some mocktails for him, like some non-alcoholic drinks, and he loves them. I make, like all natural syrups and stuff like that to sweeten drinks.
Yeah.
And he likes that as well too. But my mom, she definitely has her jokes here and there. Like, her big dream for me is, a lifelong of civil service and eventually ascending to the bench as a judge and just continuing in the practice of law. But yeah, it's I think if that was the case, then I would be living somebody else's dream. Like, not that
That's true.
Not that I don't want to practice law, because I still even try to find ways to what's going to be the next step in my legal career. But I think with starting, or building a business, I think trying to find a way to segue my legal skills, my law degree, my law license, the way that it benefits me before it does anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Also affords the opportunity to do that.
Wow, that's that's amazing, and I think it's quite interesting, right? Because I guess maybe the dirty little secret, or the thing people don't know, but lawyers drink a lot. Lawyers drink a lot, so I definitely think if you do want to go to the bench one day, maybe that's one way to get there. But yeah, that's really. So I really find that. So when did this become like an idea for you? Like, when did you start thinking about, hey, I want to go into this? And has this been something you thought about when you were from a young age? Did you know about this before you went to law school? Is this something that recently came to mind?
It's funny. At a young age, I was definitely one of those kids that, when the question is asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to say a lawyer was definitely in there as like the automatic response. But one thing I can definitely remember as a child growing up is that I would tell myself that I wanted to own a bar or like a nightclub when I grew up.
Wow.
And I don't think I ever really thought that one through as to how it could be. Like, I would say it, but I didn't really lead my life as the one pursuit to do that. Or maybe I am, and I just indirectly didn't know that that's where I was going. As far as this particular business, like being the cocktail council, and trying to start a hospitality business. The idea to do that actually came this year.
Wow.
Pandemic, and it's odd considering that like hospitality, we read things about taking a hit. People are clearly still traveling, and it's not that industry is completely dead. It's just going to figure out and have to repackage itself.
Yeah.
People going forward. So really, this year, I think the idea took hold is how can I make this a business? Last year, 2019, it was more so, maybe I could do this and just like work part-time, find a job in the city to go to after work and work at nights or like on weekends and stuff like that. And I was at a couple places, but I had just like got my certificate and was like practicing at home. So a lot of places really didn't want to give me an opportunity to like get behind their bar. They had me doing like all the other odd jobs, like being like the bartender's assistant.
Wow.
Like serving or like that house type duties and stuff like that. So yeah, pandemic rolled around and I just took the IG. I discovered like the Trickstagram community. A lot of people who make drinks, mix drinks, post drinks, make cool videos. But lately, I definitely noticed that I'm either doing something very right or I've kind of figured out the algorithm to a degree. Because I noticed I was like, I'm not getting any followers, and I just started switching up things. And
Nice.
In a couple of weeks, just like almost every day, at least like 2-3 people.
Awesome.
Will like click follow here and there, or like engaging with my posts and DMs and stuff like that.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. It's sometimes it takes people a long time to like really figure it out, especially what works for them. So that's amazing. I wanted to touch on something that you said, right? So, right, 2020, we're in the middle of COVID, right? And a big thing I hear from a lot of entrepreneurs is, or people who want to start a business is, how do I know it's the right time, right? So in the middle of COVID, you decide to start your business. And I think, so can you tell me a little bit more about like, how did you decide this is the right time? Like, what did you factor into it? I know you said you were thinking about doing a part-time job, but especially now, I think your story can give a lot of people inspiration because for the hospitality, for the bars, literally when bars were shut down, you decided to go do this. So, so can you talk more about like your thought process behind that and how you came to go actually give yourself the green light?
Yeah, I was actually, I think, and it's maybe not a good thing to say this, so the team can edit. But the pandemic is doing very terrible things for a lot of people. Some people are out of work. I know on the other side of that, had some people being out of work because they can collect, unemployment, or like a lot of people had time on their hands now that they otherwise didn't have before. I think I was in that basket of people, like the people who were in the 40-hour work week, not including commuting time, and then also still trying to find something part-time, right? So you may commit at least like 50 to 55 hours a week just to like a full-time job, right? And then just trying to find the energy to do something else because you either need it or you want to do it. You need like either a creative outlet or you just need supplemental income or whatever the case may be. So once, March came around and the governor Cuomo, shut the state down. It was like, whew, like, all right, like we gotta stay home, but now I'm home and I don't have any work to do. So what can I do? some, you know, I wasn't saying that I like took to drinking. with that like creative outlet, right? Like now I had more time to practice, and now I had more time to watch videos on YouTube, or like sit down at my computer and actually type out, you know, a business plan, or like a vision plan, or just like mission statements and stuff like that. Like, what would I want this to be about? Or just the time to think about what would a company look like? What would a company like this look like? In terms of like its giving back, or who it would work with, like, you know, socially, because, you know, that civic aspect will always still be a part of me, and figuring out how it is that I could best serve the community. So, you know, really the inspiration, I think, came from the bartending and mixology and hospitality community at large. But for a lot of those folks, it was a shock to them too, not to go open their doors and serve people with drinks. So a lot of people took to IG and started going on live and showing folks how to make drinks. And the cool, you know, like really cool part, they either started blogs or started to send emails about like recipes or things that you should try. So I think a lot of the inspiration just came from having more time to be immersed in it. But then, you know, as the summer proceeded and things started to ease up, it kind of expanded a little bit. Like, I started to put it out there that I would do events. And sometimes a lot of my posts that I put are kind of like litmus tests. I don't have like copywriting or anything like that. I do a lot of things myself, so I'll put something together to put out there just to see what happens. Like, is it going to be the same 38, 40, 50 people, however many is that usually like my posts, or do people reshare it?
So you're looking into the data. I love that.
Yeah, you know, I'd like just see how it will go around. So I did an event in September. I did a housewarming.
Awesome.
And another potential event might be happening now, but you know, you just gotta wait to see if people are serious. But I just keep building from there. Like after that, I made like an event, you know, with a questionnaire, like a form to fill out to give me all the data up front about doing the event. I set up like a Zoom link and stuff like that, where I want to now start giving like online cocktail classes as like
awesome.
The events are still kind of struggling. Like, I know people are doing them. It's really about marketing, I think, and also people feeling comfortable with doing something like that. As long as it's not like a large amount of folks. But just trying to figure out ways to be relevant and tap into the online market. So I'm also thinking about like products too, you know, like the handcrafted syrups that I usually make, but then just like bottling them as well too. So yeah, it's inspiration from a lot of different sources.
Yeah.
And just, you know, at any time, I know people talk about business plans and vision plans, and I like revisit those things. But I think at any time I feel that I find stagnant, I'm like, all right, I think I need to move on to the next thing, or just try to figure out what the next thing is going to look like, so I don't get bogged down in trying to force create something if I'm not getting the results that I want.
Wow. I think there's a lot of good content there, and I want to unpack that. It's a lot of what you were saying. First, I'm going to take a little sidebar and focus in on one thing that you said in terms of the litmus test and also the diversification you're doing with your income stream. So what I mean, I want you to really explain. I think people often think you got to figure it out and know the plan from the beginning. Rather, what you're doing is you're iterating on, okay, this is working on social media versus that's working. And you're doing like marginal improvements to stay relevant, as you said. And I think that's so important. So like, what really, where does that come from? Is that something you watched on YouTube? Is that something you figured out yourself? Like looking at this data, just testing and tweaking and trying to figure out the formula, the algorithm?
I had not really YouTube much, but definitely reading. Just, there's tons of people. I think that the biggest challenge is just sifting through what's reputable, right? But just reading articles, reading blog posts, and just trying it out as well too. Like, even if it's not from a reputable source, like, it could work. So just trying it out. I have a friend who's a rapper, and he's making music. So, sometimes I'll bounce questions off of him because, I think music, all content is just different and unique in itself, and it has its own, I think, users that it subscribes to. But like, he'll make videos, and depending on how good it is, like 1,000 views, 2,000 views, or something like that.
Wow.
I had a cousin who just did a spoken word video on IG, and the other day he reshared it and it had like 10,000 or something.
Wow, that's awesome.
Like that. So, yeah, I think it just one, I think the content is key, and then two, just reading those blog posts. There's also a lot of people on IG that were willing to share insights with me about things that I could do with the content to try to be more appealing to the folks who are, that would kind of get into the algorithm a little bit. So as far as like, just to give an example, with taking still pictures of a cocktail or a drink, right? Like, it could look really nice, but let's just say it's sitting on like the side of a table somewhere or something like that, or like there's nothing else in the picture, like somebody's hand or like a person smiling. That's probably not going to circulate a lot, right? Like, you might want to consider something like putting in a backdrop, or putting in a coaster, or doing something with your garnish, or like, instead of you taking the picture, have someone take it for you. Get a photographer. Look, just like little things like that. But it's mostly just come from reading and just asking people on Instagram, just asking other people in my circle. I think I need to expand that, especially as I mentioned, wanting to get a photographer, because I want to change like the professionalism of the page and how it looks. There's just like things like that are worth the investment when you plan to do it and when you can execute to do it. And I think it would just make that much of a difference when it comes to algorithms and appealing to users.
Yeah, I think that is really, there was one way I want to go. Hopefully we'll get back there. But something I love what you said. So I've dealt with probably close to 100 entrepreneurs or more, like individually, one-on-one group settings. And just even going back to myself, I've noticed a difference between how men typically run a company or start a business and what women do. And so one of my biggest problems starting, and even still, is I don't ask for help sometimes. I need to ask for help. I need to say, I don't know this. And I have this worry of just looking like I don't know something or being less than. And I see that trait also in other men. However, in the women that I help and I coach and I work with, I see they're more willing to ask for help. And often I see some bump in their success because of that. So I wanted to ask you, like, how is it that you're so humble in asking for help, in reading, and going to learn and teach yourself, knowing that, like, from the story, sharing that, hey, you already have your law degree. Like, you already forget your law degree, you are a licensed lawyer in New York. And to be willing to go study, I know you got your certification for hospitality this year, correct? Yeah. Yes, you got your you got your certificate for that. And you, as a lawyer, in order to learn this craft, you were looking for side jobs. And even though you couldn't get a bar job, you were willing to work as a server or work as an assistant. Like, I think it's so important to, like, how is it that you managed to be so humble that you're willing to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's It's a really good question. I think, no, I think number one, it probably just be mostly attributed to my personality. I think I'm already starting off as just like a humble person, which I think maybe could probably work to my detriment at times. But that's like a whole other story. I think the second part of it was, being with my now wife, but at the time, we were still dating, Tara and I, and just talking about what the next steps would be, right? Like there's really nothing else like a good, strong woman, to like kind of push you in a direction to motivate you to do things that you might not otherwise want to do, or you feel like you don't have to do because, and I was literally saying those things like, I'm an attorney, I shouldn't have to do this. I have my law degree, I have my law license. Like you wouldn't think to see me in a space like that, or doing service work, but I was, and I think the second part of being with her and her pushing me to really kind of take control of my finances, not just for our sake as a couple that's about to get married, thinking about all the other next big things that come with that, but just so I could free myself up fiscally to do the things that I want to do, right? To be able to build this business, to be able to like travel and connect with people and stuff like that. I want to say, that was humbling, or added more to the humility as well too. And then the third part of it, I think it's just really just the gradual, like I gradually, increasingly want to and try to pour more of myself into this than I do at my, full-time position. I think that I still show up to work every day, on time, good employee, like do everything that I'm asked to do, and try to go a little beyond, stay late whenever I need to. But I want to change my life. It's been great. It's been good to me. It'll continue doing so if I stick with it for like another 26 years or whatever it is. But I want to change my life. So I think those three things have kind of brought me to the realization and the humility that I gotta get. I know she's heard this online, but she loves to say it's like get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because I gotta do the things that aren't the norm for me in order to be able to have the life that I want. So I think in doing that will definitely bring about that humility to go into spaces that you might not otherwise want to go into, or pursue things that might have just toyed around with, but not even become very real.
Wow, thank you. That's awesome. And I actually wanted to touch on, let's touch on that a bit in terms of you being married. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, even lawyers, have this, like, it's hard, man, being a lawyer and being married. It's hard being an entrepreneur and being married sometimes. And so, like, it's beautiful to hear that she's pushing you and helping you. But how do you feel like you are balancing that? Because you're doing a lot, right? You're working your full-time job. You're building up this new company. There comes so much stress with this. You're in the middle of COVID. Like, what are some of the things that you do that you feel will be helpful for other people to kind of emulate, or things you've learned so people can say, oh, okay, this is some advice, something I saw Mike said. I'm going to try to apply it to my life. So hopefully me and my marriage or me and my relationship can be better.
Yeah. Another really great question. This one actually really kind of hits close to home, because after like just getting married, we didn't really have a honeymoon or anything like that. We took like a day or like a weekend to go upstate and hang out, and then I was back at work. So
wow.
The one big thing that I would say, if you have the ability to take the time off from work, or not be so immersed into your full-time job. I'm not saying quit it, because you probably need it, like if you're still there and like your business isn't taking off yet, right? And it will definitely, it's the funnel to building a business, especially if you're not seeing that revenue right. But if you have the ability to take time off, take it.
Wow.
And that's really me talking to myself, because I usually do not take time off work. Like my hours have been stacking up and stuff like that, because I just feel like I need to be there. But I'm really at a place now, we're trying to build this and then be there for her and everything that we have going on, where I really do just need to take the time that I've been building up and just care for myself, man. Just like clear my mind and not be so immersed into that world from 9 to 5, and realize that I have, you know, a wife, a business, and we have plans that also need my time, my attention, and my positive energy.
Yes.
So definitely taking time off is, like, I would say, like one of the biggest things. And just doing the things that you love. Like I love to like go on hikes, walk through parks and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Outdoors. It's definitely doing stuff like that. Finding a way back into the gym. Like working out is so key, and if you can't work out, just try to work out at home, because just the energy that you release, you know,
that's so right.
Sweating, you know, or picking up something heavy repeated times, like you'll feel so much better. I know, you know, I know you work out and take care of yourself. Like there's times where I leave work and I feel tired, and after I go work out, I feel like I can stay up now and work on something else. Like I had, you know, a situation like that. Like came home from work, went to the gym, and then I came home, and then now I'm, you know, working on a new recipe and making videos and like taking pictures and trying to put the backdrop and, you know, seeing what things look like so that I can repurpose them for content, you know, at like later time. So yeah, I think that's how I've been trying to implement it for myself, to manage it, and just communicating, talking to your significant other.
That's a big one.
If you can't do that, get a therapist.
That's real.
And talk to that person. You know, be humble enough to know that you need to communicate with somebody, and if you feel like you need some other footing to stand on because maybe it's difficult to communicate with your significant other, get a therapist. You know, or a trusted friend that hasn't given you shaky advice before. Something like that.
Yes. Wow, that's amazing, and I love that you're saying all of that. I think it's super important, right? And I'm guilty as you are with overworking, right? Not taking breaks, just pushing. And I think sometimes the best breakthroughs come actually when you're resting and you're not focused on work. And I'm going to circle back to that, but also the fact that you have to like build a strong foundation in your marriage, and taking time off, or in your relationship, and taking time off to actually devote that time into the person you love, the person you're with. I think that pays amazing dividends. Helps you both out. So what I wanted to circle back to in terms of taking a break and thinking, one of the things I do to take a break, just like you go hiking, my brain, it just keeps running. Like it's crazy. And the only place I can turn it off is at the movie theaters. So that used to be my place. I had the AMC unlimited pass where maybe a couple times a week I'll just go to, or maybe once a week I'll just go to the movie theaters and watch a movie, because that's the only place I can turn my mind off. So I think that's really important, because we're often taught that you just have to go hard. And that's how you make your breakthrough. Sometimes it is about taking rest. Yes, you can't be lazy, but sometimes it is about taking rest. Yeah. So I think one of the things, as we start to wrap up, one of the things that I wanted to talk about and hear from you is, what did you do, and you touched upon this a bit, what did you do to feel like you're qualified to do this? in terms of like, yes, you went to a great law school. Yes, you did hospitality. So what made you feel like this is for you? Because a lot of people sometimes, I think there's a difference between, in my opinion, right? I think there's a difference between certification and education. So I think a lot of people are worried about having the right certificates. And don't get me wrong, as lawyers, I have to say this disclaimer. Some businesses or some things you're doing, you have to have a license, right? You have to have a license from the state. So we're not saying don't do that. That's not what we're saying. But I think people often confuse a certificate with education and think that you have to have that to have education. You can get the education without a certificate. For example, I went to, one of the reasons I chose my law school was because they had a law and business certificate program, but also, maybe all the law schools did this, but I was able to order classes at the business school. So I didn't care about getting my MBA degree. I cared about learning about business. But I say this to let everyone know, you don't have to be like us, be lawyers, get a hospitality certificate, because I learned more in my first year of business than I did in business school and law school combined. Just going through all those bumps, I learned more doing that. And I'm constantly learning every year. So there are millionaires and billionaires who do not even have a college degree. So I don't want that to scare you up because you see two lawyers here talking about business. But I kind of want it, but also being a professional and switching and changing career paths, I kind of want to hear from you, like, what was your process? How did you go to, and when did you, or do you actually, because sometimes I feel like I don't know still, do you feel like you are qualified to do what you're doing? And if you don't, say, how can you push through? Because sometimes we stop ourselves because we feel we're unqualified from pursuing opportunities.
Yeah. That's very, very real. I was actually just telling my friend yesterday, he was like, yo, you're a smart dude, because we were talking about like the social media and the posting and the algorithms and like ideas that I have for videos. And he's just like, yo man, you're a smart guy. Like, you've been smart since we was kids. Like, you'll be fine. You'll figure this out. And I was just like, yeah, I appreciate that, man. But intellect doesn't necessarily translate into business savvy, and business sense.
Yeah.
And I think that that's true. So you asked the question in two great ways. Like, do I feel like I'm there, or if I don't, how do I feel like I push through? I think I'm also my biggest critic, and I think you're also your biggest critic as well too. So people would probably hear us and be like, in our respective, business fields and our paths, and be like, what are you talking about? You know exactly what you're doing. Like, you have it under control, and you feel like you don't. So full transparency, like, sometimes I don't feel like, I know what's going on.
That's real.
And I think there's a page that I followed, whether it's like it's his business. His name's Elliot Clark, apartment bartender, and his whole home bartending, and like the way how his story started. I really like have come to admire, because it sounds a lot like mine, minus the law part. I think he had a cocktail making, like home bartending class, and I took that, and it was on Zoom, and he was just like super engaging, real chill. But he had looked at my page and saw that I had, that I've been making drinks and doing the mixology, and I had those and he was just like really engaging during the session, like asking me questions about, do I do this, or have I tried that, and have I tried this, and do I do that? And I think for me, that kind of, I guess maybe validated it a little bit. So I think one of the things in pushing through is kind of surrounding yourself, or just trying to find ways to get in front of people that are also doing the same thing. And, maybe getting their opinion. Like, I think that there's so much, like my little tangent, I think that there's just like so much toxic or just like misleading things on IG. Like,
oh yes.
Like, don't care about what people say. Like, people's opinions don't matter. It's just like, might matter.
Exactly.
There are folks out there that are doing things that you want to do, and have found a way to excel at it. Like, you might want to hear that person's opinion and hear what they're saying. You know, don't completely, of course, naysayers, of course, you're not going to care so much about them, but there's people out there, professionals, that are doing things that you should want to get their opinion, if you can, on what you're doing or like your path forward. So one way I've tried to find a way to push through is to really network on social media with people that are in this business, and excelling at it, and having them check my stuff out, and I think they're being genuine about it, because there's so much stuff on social media that somebody really doesn't have to take the time out to look at anything, nor respond to you. That to me was like, oh, okay, like I'm on the right path. And just like seeing him in his session, and like you and other people over in it as well too. And I was just like, I definitely think that I could do this as well too. Like, I think that I'm on the right path. Like, this is real for me, because I could see someone that I either emulate or admire, could see, parts of where we would be able to connect, that are going on for me in real time. I think another way that I kind of push through that is to just keep practicing, and just keep thinking of different ways how to create the pivot. Like, I get a lot of good responses from people, but I think I'm like, all right, some of these people are also people that I've known.
Yes.
There's a few people that I don't know. Like, I want to be able to appeal to more strangers, because I think that that's also like a validating thing for me as well too. So like, to find those folks, and after doing the event, like after doing the housewarming, in a socially distanced and like safe manner and stuff like that, I was just like, okay, this could really jump, at least from the hospitality and like event standpoint. The people there, like, you have a business card, you have this, you have that, you have this thing. I was just like, you can follow me on Instagram, and it just put it in perspective. Like, okay, I need to figure out the way to have these things in place. I saw a commercial where there's like a QR code or something that you can just tap on the phone and get like a virtual business card, which sounds pretty cool. But yeah, just putting myself in spaces that I can kind of get that validation and see from other people whether or not that they're really feeling this or not. Like, because of the type of business that I'm trying to create, I really don't know any other way to get that, other than around being people who actually need feedback. Yeah. Whether that's in a professional sense or people who would potentially become clients.
Wow. Thank you. So I know we're coming up on time, so I wanted to, as you know, as I told you, what I'm trying to do here, talk to more Black and brown entrepreneurs. And also at the end of this, try to give some marketing or advertising feedback or branding. So what question do you have in terms of advertising, marketing, branding that you'd like us to explore, answer?
Well, one thing, because before I said I don't have like a copywriter.
And let me explain this, or if you want to explain this. So most people don't even, it's actually amazing that you bring up copywriting, because most people don't know what that is. They'll start a business and not know what copywriting is. So copywriting, for everyone on this who's watching this, copywriting is essentially, it can be the captions that you write underneath your post. It's also the written material that you're writing also in your advertising. Even it can be on the ad or below the ad. And really, it's often overlooked, but that's what gets people to buy. You get people's interest with the photo, the video, etc. But actually the writing is what convinces people to make that purchase, subscribe, whatever it is. But that really pushes people over the edge. So it's super important. Unfortunately, it's really overlooked or misunderstood. But I think it's amazing that you even know how important copywriting is.
Yeah, I think it's because that was going to be my question. Like, I think it's very important. I mean, content as far as like pictures and videos, I think definitely are like super important. But the written parts of it, and like which hashtags and stuff like that to use, and like how that post is being written, I think for me that's definitely been one of the struggles. So I guess my question is that for someone who doesn't have a copywriter, or could be looking for one in the interim, what are, I guess, the best practices or things to consider when creating your post, either like putting words on like the actual picture itself, or like putting words into the video, or putting it into like the caption spaces and stuff like that. Like, what are like those like one of those best practices?
Wow, that's an easy but a complicated answer. The short answer is it depends, right? In law, it depends. It depends. I think one of the most important things to start off with when you're copywriting is to know your audience, right? Know who you're writing to. Do not try to write to everyone, because then the message is going to be diluted. It's going to be very soft. It's kind of like, let's say you're writing something for a particular judge. Maybe you know something that they're passionate about, or that would help inform their judgment. Let me not say writing. Let's say you're arguing in court, right? Obviously, you have to have the baseline logical argument, right? But there's also emotional triggers that sometimes will sway a judge or jury, right? Emotional triggers. So knowing that people buy based on emotion, but they justify it with logic. So you have to know the person and realize, okay, what are these emotional triggers that I can craft into my copywriting, but also give a bit of logic so they can just feel justified, right? The logic isn't what's going to sell. The logic may help close the deal, but it's really the emotion. Once you get them the impulse, then they're just looking for a reason to rationalize why they are committing the action you want them to take. So I think working on that and really learning who's your target audience, who really would want this, and start off there. Don't get too broad with that. Focus on that and say, okay, I'm going to write to this specific person. And a lot of people are not going to engage with that or whatnot, but the people who do, they're going to be more likely to subscribe. They're going to be more likely to hire you. They're going to be more likely to engage and promote you and refer you and things like that. And that's who you want. You might miss 1,000 people, but those 1 to 10 people are worth all of that. And I think too often we get confused with having popularity versus having results. That's why you have a lot of these IG famous people who don't have money, right? So I don't want that to happen for you. So focusing on making sure you're writing in a way that's getting you those customers who are going to buy your product or service.
Nice. Thank you.
My pleasure.
You know, I hadn't heard that. I've never heard that framed like that before. People buy with emotion, justify with logic. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's that. It was a pleasure, really a pleasure interviewing you. I can't wait to cut this up and have the post this. Definitely will send you the link for that. But thank you so much for taking time at 6 a.m. New York time to talk with me before your day starts. And sorry,
You can call it out.
No. It's all good. It's all good. Letting your wife deal with the alarm. I totally understand. I'm sorry for putting you in that situation, but thank you so much. I think this is going to be amazing content that people are really going to enjoy hearing your story and learning more about this, not just this year, but in years to come. I think this isn't something that's just a trendy thing we're hopping on, but really your story. So thank you. Can't wait to do a follow-up in maybe 6 months, a year, when you're more established and you can come back and say, oh, these are the war stories. This is how I got there.
I feel like I'm definitely about to start going through them.
Yeah, these are.
No, thank you. Thank you
No,
for having me.
My pleasure. But yeah, you have an amazing head on you. You have an amazing spirit. I think keep going on. And I can't wait to celebrate your success. All right, have a good one. Thank you again, Mike Armstrong. I'm going to have his details below. shout out your company. So we didn't even say, we said it a couple times, but shout out your company so people can mold. Let's get a little pitch. Let's get a little pitch to close it out.
Michael Armstrong, aka The Cocktail Council. You can follow me on Instagram at The Cocktail Council. Email thecocktailcouncil@gmail.com. I am available for small events. I'm also planning to do couples date nights. If you're interested as well too, that'll be like a cocktail class along with a few mixing cocktails for couples as well too for about an
That's
hour.
awesome.
And I'm also
That's a really dope idea. That's a really dope idea.
That's gonna be coming in like a couple weeks.
Wow.
Just sending DMs to people like straight like, hey, I'm interested in this, like a part of the cocktail, like finding that target audience. But I also want to have a product line launching soon. Ivory Blend NY. Everything is Ivory, and that'll be handcrafted syrups for cocktails or other mocktail drinks.
Awesome. Wow, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Mike. This is Ataande Business Media. Amazing story, amazing person. Please go out, follow him. Please check him out. Show love, support. Share with somebody who needs that couples drink mixing. I know it's going to be a hit. So I can't wait to see the results from that. So congrats. Everyone, please hit like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more interviews, more content. Leave some questions below for Mike. Also reach out to him via DM. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, bro.
All right. Peace.
All right. Talk to you.
Talk to you.